welcome back to the channel. Hello. How is everyone doing? Looks like my audio might be a little weird, so if we're getting a lot of background noise, let me know. JCDC, what if it was free, though? Ooh, what if it was free? I'm trying to think, like... PUBG went free to play. Obviously, Fortnite is free to play. I think things like, Helldivers and... I think what other live store? Destiny 2, I guess, is free to play now. Michael, how's it going, dude? Everybody, if you haven't seen... Ooh, bumping stuff around here. If you haven't seen or heard, Michael Veselovsky is the guy who did all of the new graphics and thumbnails for the channel. Absolute pleasure. A superhero. I feel like it really brought the quality of the channel up. Thank you, dude, so much. I'm glad you're here. All right, let's just get into this. I just had this pulled up because... we're here to talk about this article that came out today about marathons targeting a $40 price point. I looked over it a little bit. I haven't seen what everyone else is saying, but I've never heard of the game post. Does anybody have any experience with these people? I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, it seems like a pretty legitimate, gaming news kind of site. Seems pretty good. Update art style is beautiful. Thank you, J-Note. And Michael's here. Thank him, honestly. So it seems like a pretty legitimate website. I mean, they're consistently posting. It seems like all of these are by the same guy, though. Zuhad Ali. Damn, he is like cranking out articles. All of these were on September 10th. Holy shit. Okay, so I don't really understand how it's one guy writing every article for these. But apparently, he has sources. He has sources at Bungie. I also left a starting soon screen in DMs for you. Oh, ooh, Michael, thank you. I haven't even looked at it. See, I've been busy now. I need to check my stuff before I start up. Aztec Cross, Destiny 2 YouTuber, regularly reading Destiny 2 news from TGP. Oh, okay. So there's some legitimacy there. Aztec Cross obviously has referenced it. I did see that there are a few videos on YouTube kind of talking about this article at this point. So take that for what it is. But I guess there is a level of legitimacy to the fact that other people are referencing it. Bon, how's it going, dude? The Cycle Frontiers was free to play. One of the biggest problems that game faced was the cheating problem, eventually leading to its shutdown. Man, I want to make a video about all this so bad, but I have so many assignments due. Dude, I'm sorry. I know, I feel like it's, it's heating up a little bit. We're getting some more information. It's a little overwhelming, but I'm sure people love to hear your thoughts, though. If you just want to go live or something or talk about it, love to hear your perspective on it. Yeah, I guess that is the thing that we kind of run into with free-to-play games. Obviously, you're going to get an overwhelming abundance of players and everything that comes with that. Obviously, one of the things that they were talking about in the Vidoc was, having this very good security system, being aware that cheaters would ruin an extraction-style game, wouldn't make it kind of like viable to play. Be very frustrating player experience. So I think it was called Fog of War was the kind of technology that they were touting that they were going to make sure to introduce into it. So obviously free to play comes with a whole other host of issues, but also you have a lot more people to experience it, proliferate it, and microtransactions. So, but we'll get into this. Obviously, Bungie's Marathon appears to be targeting a $40 launch price as the title, so we're kind of thinking in this realm of what I just drew. Helldivers 2, obviously $40. Good thing about being sick, it's time. Oh, I get to watch you live. Yeah. So Helldivers 2 is, kind of in this realm of, pay to play the live service. So obviously there's going to be follow-up things you can purchase, DLCs, cosmetics, stuff like that, but not something where anybody can jump into it. You pay that kind of premium up front. All right, so let's read through this, and then we'll I have a few other places where people have commented about it. We'll get kind of a read for what's going on. All right, multiple sources tell the game post that Bungie is considering a $40 launch price for Marathon, its upcoming PvP extraction shooter. Been well over a year since Bungie announced its first non-Destiny game, Marathon. Originally, well over a year since Bungie announced its first non-Destiny game. So are we erasing Halo? Are we erasing Pathways into Darkness and Myth? I guess since they left Xbox, I think they'll justify the price. Arc Raider is also planning to launch at $40. Yeah, absolutely. Just my initial thoughts. I'm definitely thinking that $40 could be a reasonable thing, and I don't think it's necessarily indicative of something negative right off the bat. All right. Originally revealed in May 2023. Oh, it's been too long. This title is shaping up to be quite different from what players might have initially expected. According to several sources familiar with the project, Bungie appears to be targeting a $40 price tag, which I think we've said 15 times at this point, opting for a pay-to-play premium model, rather than allowing the free-to-play model seen in many modern shooters. The Game Post understands that it's likely that discussions between Bungie and Sony have taken place around Marathon's pricing strategy after the disastrous launch of Sony's latest live service game, Concord, which also launched at $40, was shut down just 2 weeks later. However, sources confirm that a $40 price point was definitely in the cards. I understand kind of the reasons why we have to put these two games in the same conversation. We're talking about ongoing live service, PvP exclusive games. We're talking about, Sony-led kind of operations here. But I just feel like it's kind of disingenuous to put Concord into the same realm. And I kind of feel like if you're an executive at Sony in the games industry, I mean, maybe people this high up aren't having this thought, but I think you need to have a level of understanding of the space to see the difference between Concord and Marathon. Marathon obviously has a significant 30-year history of people being invested in it. It's coming from a studio that has had many, many major hits. I guess I can't say that Concord studio wasn't impressive prior to this, but obviously there's going to be hype around something that Bungie does just on the basis that everything they put out has had some great level of success, and this is their first, straying away from Halo or Destiny in a significant amount of time. Agreed, Bon. Need to try and combat cheaters, though in Tarkov's case, still flooded with cheaters. Oh yeah, I've heard. Even you can pay $250 for Tarkov and still have to deal with that apparently. Just found your channel last week. Great stuff, man. So excited to find more people hyped for this game. Oh, thank you so much, Spidey. Absolutely, and we are definitely hyped. We are huffing hopium in large gasps here. I feel like it's needed to launch at 40 after all the current negative issues that have risen out of Bungie. 40 is fine with me. If it's the last lifeline they have, the art direction alone is worth $40. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I also think $40 as a price point might just be indicative of the live service kind of spin that they've been aiming for since the beginning. And I don't think that they ever said anything during the Vidoc or the trailer or any of the initial announcements say, oh, it's going to be a full price or it's going to be 70. I don't think they talked about price at all, so I don't even necessarily know that this is something that was a change or not an option from the beginning. But yeah, I absolutely think that $40 is a price point where a lot of games can have success at. Just when I decide to not be online for the afternoon, something happened. Figures. Hey Arwen, how's it going, dude? I know. And it's funny because today I put out a video because I was like, man, there hasn't been a lot of marathon news. It's been like Bungie news and negative stuff about like, people getting fired and layoffs and stuff like that. But so I made this video about this article that Paul Tassi wrote, this Destiny Forbes writer, YouTuber type guy. And he had written an article about whatever marathon needs to be like a big success. And then the day I have that to come out, I did the video yesterday. And this comes out, which is obviously much more kind of interesting and introducing kind of more information and claiming to have a source. So it's funny how those things work. Marathon trailer has 21 million views. Concord and Marathon aren't on the same level at all. Absolutely. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're putting forth here that these Sony executives are like, oh, we had to have a meeting of the minds with Bungie after Concord. It's like, I feel like everybody, I mean, Jason Jones obviously is still at Bungie and has been in the games industry for a long time. I hope that somebody like that is up there high enough to kind of go, guys, it's silly to even pretend like these things are in the same, fucking sport even. The art style of Marathon really looks like Simon Stalenhag book. Oh, I'm not familiar with Stalenhag. I'll have to check it out if it's like this, though. All right, let's move on. Which Concord shut down just 2 weeks later. That is insane. Also, to bring these up in the same conversation and know that Concord was shut down 2 weeks later. I mean, this is historical. This is like, E.T., Atari game or whatever levels of like historical video game market failure. All right, earlier this year, IGN's Rebecca Valentine reported that Marathon shifted direction under its new director, Joe Ziegler. Oh, the quote that turned so many away, moving away from custom player characters in favor of a selectable cast of heroes. It's like Voldemort, dude. I can barely say this sentence anymore without causing people to comment 50 times about how the game's washed. It's dead on arrival. All right, this stirred up controversy within both the extraction shooter community and the broader fan base, with many concerned that the game might be veering too close to existing hero shooters like Valorant and Overwatch. However, multiple sources have confirmed to the Game Post that Marathon is not hero-focused, which is what many seem to believe. The heroes in Marathon are classes, each with its own set of abilities, along with a special ability and very different playstyle compared to others. Okay, so interesting here because the last kind of stream I did about news stuff was the Oops Leaks situation where, we went through the Twitter thread where he basically said a bunch of stuff and claimed to have a source, I believe. And now we have the Game Post saying that they have multiple sources who are also saying, like, the hero shooter shit, not what is going on, and that is a class-based system, which is what Bon, Sato, me, I think everyone kind of has been on the same page, they're like, this may have been misconstrued, which is funny that we keep coming back to, I forget what her name is, Rebecca Valentine's or whatever's article, and everybody just debunking this sentence that was kind of like the main Marathon news or talking point for the last, half of this year or first half of this year. Feel like $40 entry price honestly makes sense as long as there's solid support after launch. I'm totally mentally and emotionally invested in Marathon and wouldn't mind dropping that amount. Absolutely. Totally agree. I think comparing Concord to Marathon is apples and oranges and orange soda too. Yes. Yeah, the Marathon trailer got 18 million views in a month. Has gotten another 4 more in the year since then. And the amount of hyperbole comparing Marathon to Concord is asinine reactionary. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's, it's so common. I feel like it's funny, in the past month, you'll see like there's larger kind of like people on YouTube and stuff who are doing videos and they're talking about Concord. They're talking about the hero shooter thing. It's it's just very, and I don't, not that I blame them or think that's a problem. It's just you can tell like from the surface level, like from how the majority of the gaming community and market is looking at this, they're very hyper focused on things that appear to be kind of like out of context in terms of what seems to actually be occurring. Fortunately, on the side of it possibly being DOA, at the same time, I do think it's incredibly rude to rub it in all willy-nilly. True. I really do love the new visuals, but I'm not entirely sure about the new genre change. Hold on. I don't think there's really been a genre change. Well, genre overhaul, if we want to be more specific. It's an FPS, yeah, but there's no campaign. Instead, pure PvP. The newest leaks just say it's a little easier compared to Hunt Showdown and Tarkov, but still extraction. Oh, okay. Genre change. Thank you, Anomalous. And thank you, JCDC, for letting us know how you're feeling. Genre change for Class Marathon. Yeah, I think something that I've talked about, a few times, just positioning Marathon and kind of like the total history of Bungie, is that when Marathon released, it was on this kind of cutting edge of what kind of the forefront of gaming was. You had this first-person, dual-wielding, narrative FPS. You can, aim up and down and stuff. And so they were kind of, taking what was new within the game market and building on it in Bungie's own creative way. And obviously that turned into things like Halo, and then when they separated from Microsoft, they're going to go and do their own project. They're tackling something else, this idea of kind of this, I don't know what would be I don't want to like stumble over my words here, but Destiny, kind of more of like a massively multiplayer online experience. Obviously not entirely like that, but PvE and groups and raids and this hyper amount of coordination. And instead of having like multiplayer that was more traditional, maybe throughout the 2000s, early 2010s, kind of having this ongoing experience where we're utilizing our ability to patch in major amounts of content, and have an ongoing experience for a large player base that is built around a narrative that develops. So it feels in line to me that when they're bringing Marathon back, that they would try to approach something that is kind of on that forefront of like what we see as popular and successful games now. So I kind of feel like the extract shooter spin is something that could work in terms of like what they've done in the past. Now, obviously, I'm obsessed with the narrative aspects of Marathon in a lot of ways. Like, I love the lore and the world around it, and that's why I love investigating. So I do agree that if we kind of see a pullback away from how narrative and story-heavy the ARG and the information they put out so far is, that would definitely, be a bummer. But I have hope based off what I've seen from the narrative team and the things they've said about the ARG and about the project, going forward, that they are taking into account that this is a massive, expansive science fiction universe, and they want to build onto that. This is my perspective anyways. Same energy from hero shooters, so-called fatigue, when the same people are going nuts for Marvel Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. I'd also like to, I don't think I have fatigue from extract shooters. Feel like I'm wanting to play a really good one that I like. Well, I think this might be it. They could combine the things of Hunt and Tarkov, absolutely. Also like to say, I agree with the need for anti-cheat to be a huge focus. Played the hell out of the Cycle Frontier, one of my favorite PC exclusive games, and hacks killed it. Dude, such a bummer. Such a bummer when something like that happens, especially when, from a developer's perspective, they put all this time and effort into creating an experience and people respond to it and are really, grateful for it. They're into it, and then to lose it to, basically a technical issue. 100% on board with it if the game just had a campaign mode, I guess. I could see having fun with this new Marathon, especially with friends, and it does end up being great. Never played extract shooter before. Yeah, absolutely. Same here, yeah. Man, it sucks that happened to Cycle Frontier. All right, the core gameplay structure is pretty similar to games like Escape from Tarkov, but with a Bungie twist, according to one source. Currently, 2 maps are in a playable state, one set on the planet in an abandoned colony and the other aboard the Marathon ship. Ooh-wee. It's unclear, however, if these will be the only maps at launch or if Bungie has plans to include more. Over the past few months, Bungie has been conducting regular playtests, internal teams, streamers, and content creators. Sources tell us the feedback around the game has been somewhat positive, with one source noting that the game feels worth the $40 price tag. In addition, a new trailer for Marathon is said to be in production. Okay, wow. This is like if this is true, this is a pretty like legitimate amount of information here. Okay, 2 maps, one at Tau Ceti, and one on board the Marathon. Okay, so this would lead me to believe that what we are looking at in the trailers, I've speculated a few different things here just to review. Let me pull up the Marathon trailer here just so we can kind of get a visual of this. What I have speculated is that when we're looking at the Marathon, it's one of two things. It's either going to be the redesign of the Marathon. Okay, so a redesign of the ship itself to obviously bring it into the aesthetic that they're looking at, or what we're looking at here, because we are looking at the Equanimity, which is the ship that under Project Goliath, the UESC is sending out to figure out what happened at the Lost Colony. That's a Kingfisher class ship, and it's much more slender, and it's here for a recovery mission. So what I kind of speculate is that this is either a redesign of the Marathon itself, and that this is like how it was in some ways in the original game, or this is the Equanimity inside the Marathon, which has been blasted away by 4 Arsenal. So saying that that a map would be on the Marathon seems to indicate that this is, if this is true, entirely a redesign, as opposed to my speculative idea that this is, the Equanimity inside this, destroyed version of the Marathon. Now, I guess that could still be a possibility. I mean, who knows kind of the crust of this planetoid, this moon object, if some of the hallways and stuff still exist there from that. But the idea of having a, playable map on the Marathon, something that Sneaky Weeky 123 and I have talked about, who I have a podcast style video coming out with him. Bon, I've talked to him. I think maybe in the podcast kind of style video we upload to his channel, we may have talked about that as well. Sato and I have talked about this. So the idea of having a level on the Marathon, the tight corridors. I mean, I enjoyed my time. What was it? The Extraction game we looked at earlier this year, where it was about aliens and you're kind of in this Arctic laboratory. I like the idea of this kind of more closed-in setting for an extraction shooter, where you have really close quarters combat and a lot different style of strategic planning in terms of how you're engaging with people. And that would be in great contrast. You have this dichotomy of, am I going to load into the abandoned colony, have these large open vistas, and maybe engage in combat at hundreds of meters, or am I going to explore the desolate halls of the Marathon, in these dark, gritty ships? And who knows how the gravity's at play here, or the oxygen levels and what's going to be required. This is really cool information. This is really cool. I do wonder how they implement lore notes for story exposition in the game, though. If it's just picking them up with drops of other stuff, that kind of feels like a poor implication to me. I kind of feel like, hey, give me terminals. I still enjoy reading the terminals. If we had a kind of a lore setup, what Hunt had prior to this new update, where you had this kind of book or a terminal that you can open up and read through all the intel you've gathered and the logs of data that you have. I would, obviously I'd be in there diving through that, but I would really enjoy something like that. And I'm sure we're gonna get, Bungie is excellent about their kind of narrative cutscenes and their story elements having these kind of big set pieces. So I'm sure we'll see something like that. Michael said, new trailer. Bond says new trailer means gameplay. Yeah, absolutely, which will be excellent to dive into. Michael says, Tarkov devs are working on some story mode. We could see the same approach for Marathon if it's successful. Come on, if the main genre is extraction shooter, that doesn't mean that the game won't evolve. Very true, very true. And especially if they're launching at this $40 price point, that could free the team up to take bigger risks. You know what I mean? It's going to bring more people in, and they're going to have, a better look as to what the player base is going to be, probably early on, because you have this more premium, pay-to-play kind of environment, might have more invested in terms of the players. And introducing stuff later on, having seasons, is something that I absolutely expect them to do. Kingfisher class, yes, absolutely, Tara. Sorry guys, I'm scrolling through here. I definitely be bringing snipers to the Marathon map. I know, and we do. If you guys haven't seen it, Tau Ceti News Network is a channel on YouTube that just kind of started, and he did a really cool video. Here we go. Let me pull this up for you. He did a really cool video talking about the guns of Marathon. And he goes over the guns from the original game, and then he dives into the guns that we see in the trailer and from the concept art as well. So if you want a better look at that, now that we're obviously getting a few more details what the gameplay could look like, this is a really good video and it's very cool. And he's, has kind of like appears to have kind of like a background knowledge on firearms that's like helpful when explaining and going through some of the stuff. So definitely check that out if you haven't. We're in another timeline. Easiest explanation? Could be, absolutely. Plus of this franchise is that they can use the original formula and just use terminals and environmental storytelling to keep the mystery and mystique that would make people's imagination run. Yeah, absolutely, Arwen. That's absolutely. Environmental storytelling would be great, though. Absolutely. That and this is where the original Marathon, trilogy, even with the, obviously they're going to have to reuse a lot of the sprites, the introduction of these terminals and the way they lay out the maps and the weird little hidden stuff. Like, Bungie is, they could teach the master class on building out a world. Now, has some of that stuff translated to Destiny? Personally, I just haven't spent enough time with it, to see. But I do think that the Destiny stuff that I have played, there is some really cool stuff that I feel like if I had a deeper understanding of the lore, they'd be building out a lot of those concepts really well with the way that the maps are designed. And, even though I don't play it, the fact that we have videos on YouTube that are like 10 hours long talking about the kind of narrative and background of that, I'm sure it's very deep. Atbon, totally. More frantic, classic Bungie dance-style PvP being the focus on the ship makes loads of sense and vibes thematically. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Problem is smaller details without incorporating everything in mind. Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. So wait, just to be clear, two big things are the two maps are in a playable state, and one's on the Marathon, one's at the Colony. And then the other big thing is the not hero shooters, their classes, which is basically what we had heard in the leaks from last month. Okay. We read this, the regular playtest. Multiple sources have indicated that Bungie is putting extra effort into Marathon's new player experience. Destiny 2, Bungie's flagship title, was often criticized for being confusing or overwhelming to new players. Marathon aims to avoid this. I will say that when I logged into Destiny for the first time in 5 or 6 years or whatever, in January of this year, maybe not that long, but in a very long time, it was very difficult to figure out what the fuck I was doing. I'm like constantly getting berated with, decades of cutscenes. I don't know what planet I'm on, don't know where I'm going. I'm starting and skipping multiple stories all the time, so it definitely does seem, especially based off what Bungie had put out about Destiny the other day, which I kind of talked about when I did the video from Paul Taussi's article, that they are aware that that's a issue. From the start, the developers are focused on making sure players have a smoother onboarding process, lowering the barrier to entry. Despite positive feedback from playtests, morale within Bungie remains low, as developers have grown increasingly frustrated with leadership amid recent changes at the studio. Concerns remain high about the launch of Bungie's next big project, Marathon. With the game's success pivotal for Bungie's and Destiny's future, there's a lot riding on how Marathon performs. The Game Post has contacted Bungie for a comment and will update this story with any further information. Wow. Zuhad, thank you very much. Zuhad Ali, guys, The Game Post. Okay. So, obviously, I just think from the perspective of somebody who's been employed and had a job that, if your company has had, 2 rounds of layoffs within the past 12 months, I think at this point, obviously it's, there's going to be some morale issues there. That makes sense to me. And especially with a lot of the kind of negative stuff that has been occurring around, at post the Destiny 2 release, which seemed like a very positive, very, very big high, to have that immediately fall with the layoffs, and obviously having like a larger kind of persona at the company and Christopher Barrett be released in kind of like less than appropriate ways. Obviously, I feel like overall that would be a very difficult thing to come together. But I do hope that honestly, with people like him out of there, that the leadership and Joe Ziegler, who has directed a game to like high levels of success, are able to kind of pivot the creative power towards like, a very fruitful, positive environment for everybody. Wow, this article, this should have been the article I did the video about. I didn't know though. I didn't know it was coming. You never know. Which is very fine. I'm saying this right now, and who knows, maybe they just surprise drop something big tomorrow. But like I said just a little bit ago, I think the really two big things are it's not heroes, it's classes, and the two maps are going to be the colony and the marathon, which super cool. A lot of opportunities for obviously narratively we're looking at like what the marathon was destroyed by the four. That's what we get, that the colony and the marathon were destroyed. To what extent were they destroyed? Who was left? What kind of operations did the four do there? What did they take? We know they took Leela, right? So we knew that they are aware of AI. Did they take some of these AI at the colony? Are they still here on post waiting for humanity to arrive? Were they truly not able to discover where Earth was? What, in terms of Marathon 2 and Marathon Infinity, what played out? Was Durandal able to kind of do damage to the four fleet like what we see in Marathon 2? Or in the conclusion of Marathon 2, obviously doesn't line up with anything that we're seeing, where it's said that in the late 2800s, the UEFC and the Svit Kur worked together to, destroy the four fleet. Obviously, that's not occurring. So, kind of what there's with everything that we're reading here, it sets up a lot of ultimately big questions that seem very cool in terms of what we've been speculating. And also, I guess the other big thing, obviously, would be this $40 price point, which I just think in terms of like the games that I personally find myself playing, I'm not like personally super invested in the next AAA thing, especially in terms of multiplayer. I much more frequently find myself engaging with, independent titles, or, something more along the lines of like a AA game, or something that is on, has been out for a while and is on sale or approaching a different kind of payment model. I don't find myself being pulled towards these kind of major multiplayer experiences often. And even if you look at something like Hunt, smaller team, with the Crytek people, I believe, and Tarkov obviously is its own thing going on. So I think for the market that they're entering, this price point, the way they're going about it, how it seems to be targeting a broader audience to introduce more people to the extraction shooter concept, have a more forgiving system that, invites people in to mess around, have experiences, enjoy the Bungie PvP, while also having a larger narrative playing out, and potentially, having this kind of consequence-based system to death. I think these are all great things, and everything that I'm seeing here makes me feel very positively. And obviously in combination with what we've read about the Bungie layoffs, in terms of what Bungie is putting out, saying that basically the majority of Bungie is on Marathon, a small portion of Bungie left to go work on this Gummy Bears project that's under Sony, and then there's some people who are, obviously still continuing on with Destiny 2. So it does seem like Sony at large and Bungie at large is positioning themselves to dive all in on making Marathon this next, prominent live service IP, which obviously bodes well for us who are excited. All right, I'm going to go back a little to read some of these comments here. I think the ship map ties so well with Oops Leaks' claim on random maps. Yeah, absolutely. Would be awesome if it has random generated maze-like hallways and compartments. Yeah, and I believe he had talked about, like an AI maybe was altering sort of the maps, but they may have scrapped that or something. But definitely a lot of opportunities here. Salsetti, cool. Oops Leaks did say there was going to be a controlled leak. Imagine if it ends up being this. That exact, Arwen, absolutely. You're totally right. I was thinking about that while I was reading this. Totally forgot to bring that up. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, Oops Leaks, one of like the primary things that he kind of like more blatantly claimed is that there's probably going to be a controlled leak, or there might be a controlled leak. And this seems like it's releasing a lot of information that Bungie would want to, kind of gather the data from the responses to. So if we're talking about a $40 price point, if this is a controlled leak, that absolutely goes along with what Oops Leaks was saying, which might give more credibility to some of the other stuff he said. Maybe we take another look at that at some point. But they're probably, testing watching. What is going to be the response? I would assume most people are going to go, okay, yeah, we're going to get like a AAA Studios, multiplayer game, and it's not going to be at a $70 fucking price point on the, PS5 Pro that's $700. I think people are going to be hyped about that. And obviously, like, putting it out there that, hey, it's going to be classes. Everyone going to chill out about the fucking hero shooter shit because Joe Ziegler, was on the team. and obviously the 2 maps thing. I think these are all the types of things that Oops Leaks was talking about, where if it was a controlled leak, they would want Bungie would want a better understanding of how people were going to respond to that. So, yeah, absolutely, Arwen. Definitely most interested in Tau Ceti then. It's only talked about in Marathon, really, and you never actually visit it. Yeah, absolutely. To see kind of what's left of the colony, or what the colony even looked like, or the fabled Chakasins. Does anybody remember the Chakasins? Marathon 1 manual. This is the thing that we learn about the security officer from Marathon 1, is that he helped the colonists with Chakasins on the outskirts of the colony. So I'm interested in what kind of wildlife we're going to see down there. That would make a ton of sense thematically as well. Durandal controls our entire experience and railroads us the entire time, but a colony ship should be massive and labyrinthian. Yes. Yes, in the OG Marathon, some of the maps really are just labyrinths. Yeah, absolutely. In some, frustratingly so. Man, what is the map? Is it Marathon 2? No. It's Marathon Infinity when you get imprisoned by the 4. But I think you're on Tau Ceti when this occurs, and there's the winding tower that you have to go down to the bottom. You hit something, you come back up. Such a good map, but obviously very confusing. Probably easier to implement than similar mechanics in open on-ground location. Oh god, imagine colony ship for sale cheap as an extraction map. Yeah. It would be cool if we got some homages back to some of the puzzles. Like if you were like kind of in G4 sunbathing, you know, or if you're, you know, at colony ship for sale, and maybe they do have some sort of mechanism that you can hit to change the height of platforms to access, you know, some area. It would be cool to see callbacks to that, and knowing that, if it is true that we're going to get one of these maps on the Marathon, the opportunities for like cool, you know, shit from the original games that they could throw in there are large, and I'm very excited to see kind of what comes of that. As I said in the beginning of the stream, there's a lot of Destiny 2 coverage on TGP, so they might be in close ties with Bungie, but I'm only speculating here. Yeah, that's a really good point, Michael, and thank you for saying that. I didn't realize that Aztec Cross, you know, talked about this website, or that they were like super up to date with more of the stuff. Zuhad is in the Marathon Discord fairly regularly. Oh, I trust this guy quite a lot compared to Oops Leaks. Awesome, Vaughn. Thank you. I did not know that. Thought of something even worse. Hainer 48 and the corpses with the missing heads. They brought that back in Myth 2. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we get that. What if that's where you get teleported to? You hit one of these old teleporter pads next to the Garrett White terminal, and all of a sudden you're in the Hainer. I wouldn't mind if Colony Ship for Sale Cheap was made even worse for some kind of esoteric ARG puzzle. Yeah, hell yeah. Colony has been wiped out. Pff, just like that. It would also give Destiny dungeon vibes to have some wonky platforming puzzles, which we already know they can pull off. Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you see the success of like games like Dark and Darker, where you kind of have these looping over-the-top things, a lot of different mechanisms you can fuck with. I haven't played a ton of it, obviously, but obviously I think there's something there for people to enjoy. I think that's obviously something we see people liking. Okay. Great article. Thank you, Zahad. I hope I'm saying your name right. So let's go on. Like I said, I pulled up a few places just to kind of get a read of some of the comments of what some people are saying about it. So we have this pulled up here. Seen a lot of comments about Concord. People seem to forget that Helldivers 2 was also $4 at launch. Exactly. I think that's what we were all kind of talking about here. Take my money, absolutely. DOA if it's not free to play. I don't really understand that kind of perspective. I mean, I understand thinking that maybe you don't believe that it's going to work, or you think that's going to flop, or you don't believe that's going to say. But I don't know that free to play is a requirement. Maybe it is. I mean, if you're looking, like, I guess maybe, sorry, I don't mean maybe it is, but like, maybe if you're looking at it from the perspective of you're somebody who plays games, like you play Fortnite and you play maybe something on Game Pass, or you play Call of Duty, I could see how it's like if you're buying, 1 or 2 games a year, or you're buying, a season pass once or twice a year, maybe that's something that would put you off from the larger market. But also, it is an extraction shooter, so I think they're targeting a different group. I think they're trying to bring a niche genre to the wider gaming audience. I don't know if Bungie is necessarily thinking that the kids who are going to get on Fortnite or play PUBG now that it's free, or Warzone, are necessarily going to move over to this. Necessarily. I mean, that's not what I'm thinking, so I don't think that would necessarily make it DOA per se. Then they say they scrapped the hero shooter thing. Yeah, I believe that's what this is. Well, I don't think they said it. Obviously, Bungie didn't say that, but that's what Oops Leaks said. People don't know how to read, I believe was his actual quote. Make a nice gameplay, nice kill feedback, cool animation, fits the game, and don't be greedy. Don't go, whoa. Class-based is fine. If they don't force me to play a certain character, let me have my own hero. Obviously, people still upset about this hero shooter thing. Major flop. Don't do a Concord. This game obviously has more eyes on it, but this seems risky to me. I didn't see many people interested in trying it, but now with it being paid and $40 at launch, I'm not sure who will personally. I see, this just seems uninformed. Many people interested. I mean, the trailer did numbers. I mean, the trailer did very well. Better than a lot of games that perform very well afterwards, you know. IMAX Sakura's the Gulag map. Yeah. Yeah, we go to a dream hellscape. Tau Steady, so is this a control leak? If I say no, would you believe it? Oh, hey Tau Steady, how's it going? I mean, the game being priced does make me feel less interested in it, but at least it's $40 instead of $60 or $70. Maybe I've missed it, but have they ever explained if there's an in-universe reason for the updated logo? I don't think so. Just like they haven't, you know, said anything about, you know, the updated version of the marathon itself. I think it's either like a visual design choice, you know, to update it for the aesthetic that they're going for, this kind of graphic realism, and this is what kind of flows more. Or there is some sort of lore kind of explanation behind some of this stuff, and we're going to get it later on down the road. Crossing fingers on Gianni voicing Durandal. I don't think there has. Simplest explanation would have been the marathon is gone, but it clearly isn't. People will now be tying Concord to everything for ages. Yeah, good point, Michael. Big woof to all the Concord comparisons. 2 straight years of gamers denouncing a game they don't want is vastly different to some people doomsaying a game they weren't planning on playing. Exactly. Unless it applies something later down the line for the game's plot, gets rid of it. $40 isn't bad, and extraction shooters do have paid games. Tarkov and Hunt both have price tags, so asking for money isn't out of the ordinary. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. You think there's anything worth it in these comments here? Are we going to get any insight? Isn't the worst idea if it's done right? Yeah, I agree with this. Concord, anyway. The Concord stuff is silly. But I just think Michael's right. Like, everybody's going to be, you know, talking about this shit. Oh, guys, this is Knight. Really nice point. Not pay to win, no DLC, character personalization. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, this guy has a YouTube channel, and I don't know how many... I mean, I would assume most people, if you're listening, are English speakers. But if you're a French speaker, Knight, I hope I'm saying his name somewhat close to right. He is a YouTuber under the same name, and he's doing like lore videos in French. So it's very cool to see like stuff popping up for the new marathon kind of worldwide. But it seems like a very cool dude. He left some comments on my things. So if you're a French speaker, maybe check it out. Another third-person shooter, not buying it. If it was first-person, I'd give it a shot. I don't know what this person... Did I miss something? It's funny, the idea of, like, going into the comments and just being confused is very funny. But, like, did we see anything about third-person or first-person? Weirded out by all the Concord comparisons. Yeah, absolutely. Curious if the logo update reflects the death of the marathon's populace. Good point. The original representing the ship inside the hollowed-out moon, and now it's hollow but dead. Ooh... Very, very poignant. Yeah, that could absolutely be it. Imagine we get to play it as compilers and future updates fit with full-on punk skins to match the runners. Man, maybe they should just add like Drinial and a Sfit compiler to what's that horror game? Where it's like an asymmetrical multiplayer horror game where like people play as like a horror monster and you have to like run around and start generators. Dead by Daylight? Someone's going to say it here in a second. I'm feeling like an idiot. I think it's Dead by Daylight. Maybe add the Sfit and the Drinial to that. Full-on punk skins to match the runners. One thing Oops was right is people really can't read. Yeah. Not a single word about third person ever. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Let me play as a 4-fighter mook and let me run around in the map funnily and wave their violent poking stick everywhere. Yeah, funny. All right. X.com. Cooked brains on there. Let's go to the Reddit. Let's go to the Marathon Reddit where all the geniuses live. Let's see what they got to say. Some other interesting stuff in the article I didn't know about. One being it's not a hero shooter, but just a class system. Thank God. Hopefully this is true. I hope that if anything comes out of this article for the larger audience of people who aren't like, tapped in like all of us maniacs who are here, investigating every little thing. I hope that it is the hero shooter thing, because from the get-go, everything like, the Sekaguchi website listing out these different classes of Biomata, I think it's all kind of pointed in the general direction of they're not like necessarily heroes, more like a class system when it comes to playing. So I hope that is a big takeaway that people get, or maybe when we see kind of some of these larger YouTube videos. If anybody has seen like anybody make a video on YouTube that you think I should check out a piece of or something, I mean, not that I want to watch like a full 30-minute video, but if there's something I missed and somebody adds something, let me know and I'll look at that too. But turned out it was another bad game because the suits are making employees disgruntled. Probably because employees don't have creative freedom to make it a good game. The thing that I'll push back with this is if you go back if you go back and you look at what people are saying, like who are working on this game, and like the runner team lead and the narrative design lead and stuff on Twitter. I mean, they're out there. You can find them. They all seem very positive. They all seem very excited about this project, and the stuff that they say makes me feel like stuff is happening at the company, but the team working on this does care and is invested, and they do seem to be excited about it. That's the stuff that I'm seeing, at least from the Bungie people that I follow and post stuff about it. Yes, the sub, constantly a source of both inspiration and exasperation. Yeah. Is it just me, or does the bold, simplistic color scheme found in the Marathon trailer suggest that they want enemies to be readable from a distance? If so, that could run counter to crazy cosmetics. Yeah, that's something that Sato brought up. Sato Talks Marathon, another YouTuber guy making videos about Marathon here. I had a conversation with him, and he's played a ton of Hunt. He's played a ton of Destiny, a ton of Escape from Tarkov as well. And his big thing that made him excited, one of the big things from a gameplay perspective, was the graphic realism design choice for that exact reason. That it seems like they're designing the visual look of the game not only to have this cool aesthetic, but also for it to be pleasing to the eye and make sense when you are in very high stakes, multiplayer, environments in a scenario where if you die, you're actually losing like a significant amount of time and, potentially resources. So I do think that the readability is something they're considering when, they're developing this art style. And I think that will obviously be for the better, because it'll be more satisfying and feel more fair, as opposed to like I don't know if anyone remembers old PUBG, when PUBG first came out, a lot of grays, a lot of greens, a lot of browns, which makes it a lot more difficult. Not necessarily, I think, is almost leans the other way. I'm assuming heavy cosmetics because that's their bread and butter, but a much more streamlined, readable, accessible UI. Curious about new Mida's command structure in the OG game. Mida was tied to an NWO type conspiracy, tied back to pathways into darkness. One of the terminals in the first level spilled that out. Okay, interesting. So here's my take on Mida. Mida, as an organization, it's written to be a political organization, but also kind of like this terrorist organization. And when I think about structurally what they're capable of, I'm thinking about the 2400s, and I'm looking at the Third Martian War. I'm looking 20 years later in 2466, I believe, when they take over. We know that they obviously had enough structure to take over the government and to murder a large portion or kill or, in the lives of a large portion of the population at that point, which implies to me that they must have had some sort of leadership, some sort of, these are our ground forces, these is our middle management, a military type structure to conduct these tasks. And also from the ARG, we get the information that Traxxas, gave Mida this, proverbial seat at the table that we talk about, throughout the videos I make on the channel. So I think just for those to be able to, for, a mega corporation to be able to go to a group, offer something like whatever Traxxas offered them, and then to, be able to actually act on that, there has to be a level of structure that's greater than some sort of clandestine cell of terrorists. So yeah, I am interested to see kind of what their capabilities are. Do they have their own ships that are flying towards Tau Ceti, secretly, or utilizing some sort of pathway there that is under the radar? Like, how are they sneaking on board ships? Is it like a covert spy thing, like how they had people embedded on the marathon itself? Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm absolutely interested in seeing kind of how it plays out, or how they go about presenting that in the upcoming game. Character silhouettes are very distinct. You never confuse a scout for a heavy, no matter what is on their head. Just here to say hi. Unfortunately, I can't stay and watch. Hope you have a good night. Thank you, random dude. I appreciate it, dude. I hope you have a good night. Fair enough. Is New Mida a more Silverhand style pure rebellion org, or is playing for a higher goal for even shadowier players? Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. That's what we're trying to figure out. And Traxxas and Mida themselves within the zine talk about, hey, we are not old Mida. And, that does kind of give it a more kind of punk aesthetic, to where, like, this was a extreme political group, and they were willing to do what it took, for the people of Mars, but they lost their edge when they sold out to the megacorps, and that's how the coup ended. Traxxas came in and bought them out with the replacement for the Christ Soul Orbiters, and we kind of resent them, even though those guys probably made that decision for the betterment, of the people of Mars. But now you have these younger generations of people who probably are still upset about the travesties that are occurring on Mars, probably at the hands of Traxxas, who we now know employ a bunch of them to work in what I'm assuming are mines that are not super safe. Like we hear about the Oxia Pulse incident and the mine shaft collapse, where they're actively lying about how many people died there to promote Sekaguchi's, biomata as a safety measure to allow people to do these dangerous jobs. I could absolutely see like a Johnny Silverhand punk style rebellion group, and I think that would fit very neatly into the cyberpunk aesthetic that we're seeing in the trailer. Blue Oyster Cult, man, love your name, love everything you got to say. Thank you for being here. All right, readability. Sorry guys, I'm trying to go through. I'm getting behind because I'm rambling, I'm yapping. All right, guys, the main problem with cosmetics is visual consistency, but like with what we've seen of the Vidoc in the game's visuals and artwork, I think they'll be able to nail that just fine. Yeah, that's a good point. What about, does anybody know, like, my perspective on Destiny is that, like, they obviously have a bunch of, like, stuff you can purchase, but everything seems to be tasteful, like, within the realm of visually similar. But you can let me know if I'm wrong about that. That's what I'm thinking. D2 is pretty good. Oh, my gosh, and there it is, the very next comment. D2 is pretty good about this. Thank you, Shredded Cheese. But is still pretty cluttered. We've got hints at optical enhancement mods text. Maybe that plays in the gameplay UI. Love the art design, but if Bungie is going to make 1,000+ skins sell for $20, readability is going to have to be stepped on a bit. Hey Jake, how you doing? Hey, thank you, True Pac-Man. I'm doing well. How are you? I could see cosmetics for the game working similarly to Halo Infinite. 343 sells cosmetic packets that allow you to mix match armor pieces. That is cool. Though, J-Note, you know what I gotta say, man? Halo Infinite is the most frustrating armor system that I've ever encountered. Like you can't make your character like a solid color, right? Like you have to have the shader, but then the shader is like a little bit different, so you can't just make like a flat color. You know what I mean? I feel like that frustrates me. But yeah, I absolutely could see them selling like armor, like skins for armor pieces. So maybe like you buy a skin that can apply it to a certain weapon class or a certain type of armor, like across the board. That could be cool. Bull green outline is a bull green outline. Not interested in VATS targeting. I could see something similar. Put a Pip Boy on my runner. Put a Pip Boy on him. Cosmetic mix and matching does sound most likely. The artificial bodies angle does lend it to that kind of angle. Yeah, absolutely. And the modular nature, of the armor systems that we see in the trailer kind of would suit that. Big time. Hope it's not as tedious, but I didn't hate it after 343 got realistic with their cost expectations. Oh, see, I haven't looked at it in a long time. Maybe it got better. Interesting. I'm playing the finals, and they do give all enemies bold outlines, but the finals doesn't look as striking, readable as Marathon. Excited to see what they do. I really like the look of the finals. In the finals, I know somebody was talking about Arc Raiders earlier. Is the finals the same people behind Arc Raiders? Arc Raiders also got a 40. I believe I saw him say that. I don't know if I said that earlier, but Arc Raiders, I think, also has a $40 price tag. So it looks like they aren't doing free to play. I'm okay with this so long as they don't turn into a microtransaction escape. Yep. Yeah, it looks like they're not going free to play. This article is claiming $40 price point with, like maybe season passes, cosmetic items, stuff like that down the line. What I'm referring in the first level OG Marathon, there's a terminal that spews tons of garbage about secret meetings on France and passing reforms to integrate their members. Okay, yes, I recall. That terminal doesn't make sense until you start learning about Mida and what happened in Pathways into Darkness. Yeah, absolutely. Crippled the whole Armistice or an Infinite for me. Yeah, that was my takeaway from it. Some of it does look cool though. Some of it does look cool, but yeah, I want to pick a solid color. That was my big. Just got the news. The pricing might be for hacker flooding prevention since it'll be a PvP centered game. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and like they had talked about in the Vidoc, Jolly, kind of that fog of war and the security measures behind it are a big deal to them. So I think any measure they're taking to ensure that the security of the game is like of prime, optimum, importance, I think is going to be beneficial. I mean, there's so much tension behind an extraction shooter already because you're in this situation where I just worked really hard for this shit and I didn't die for once. I collect some good stuff. I got to get out of here, and to get killed by a guy who's shooting across the map or invisible or something would, obviously destroy that experience. We'll kind of have to make updates free to not segregate the community. Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly what, Hunt does. Hunt releases a new map or they update something. Everybody can go play the new map. Everybody can interact and pick up all that stuff. The cosmetics or the battle pass is something you can get. And obviously, if you're investing a bunch of time into it, that's a smaller price point and offers a lot of content for you. But yeah, I agree. Finals dev is Arc Raiders. Yeah, thank you, Shredda. Embark makes the finals as well as Arc Raiders. Yep. Even the collab skins from like The Witcher or even Fortnite are keeping the D2 style. Yeah, and guys, one of the things that almost made me go back to Destiny earlier this year was they had a marathon Destiny skins. Does anybody remember that? Marathon Destiny 2 skins. Oh my gosh, sorry guys, my hands are all in a weird spot right now. Marathon links are here. Destiny 2. Oh, here we go. Dude, look at these. Did anybody get these? I would have gone in just to get this. Got the Spit compiler here. Got the security officer style. What are they going for here? You think they're going for like a four enforcer, 4 soldier here? But yeah, I really love these. These were super cool. Super cool. Glad to see that stuff. Going down. If I have to pay to play, but it keeps me from being one shot across the map. Super, and absolutely. With Hunt being my favorite game, and it'd be dishonest of me to shit on Bungie for pricing the same. True. Which also brings the question of new Marathon is going to use plot threads from the OG games like the Flicta or that fungi virus that was supposed to turn 4 into fungi zombies. Actually, there was a good focus on the outgrown fungus around the Marathon. Yeah, absolutely. And the green mushroom that we see in the trailer is something I spent quite a bit of time on in my analysis. And I definitely think we could see a lot of that stuff coming into play. Honestly, if you want to kind of like, we're getting a little more esoteric here. We're getting a little more kind of speculative art-wise. But I think a lot of the art that we've seen from the trailer and a lot of the art... Hold on, let me pull this up just so I can have something... Oh my gosh. So I can have something while I kind of explain my idea here. I think a lot of the direction of the art that we've seen for Marathon so far does have a kind of psychedelia vibe to it. When we're looking kind of at these images that have this, great level of symmetry where we're kind of mixing the organic idea of this weave worm technology is what they call it, like caterpillar type style. In the symmetry of that, you have, this organic nature and this very, fake synthetic, combination. And this kind of, all these overlapping lines, this very mathematical display of stuff. I feel like one of maybe the bigger, broader, more stylistic choices they may be going for could be along the lines of this abstract psychedelic obscurity for an artistic style, or at least a motivation or kind of like an inspiration for some of the stuff they're doing. And if they were to kind of introduce some stuff around fungi, I would not be surprised, because I feel like obviously that is kind of the peak of what you have to experience here on this planet. That would kind of give you some insight into the kind of visual disturbances that come along with a lot of these ideas. But I think a lot of the art, that we see is built on this idea of this abstract grandeur that comes with this kind of, trippy vibe. But yeah, absolutely, I could definitely see stuff like that coming into play. Bungie anniversary skins for Marathon, the Halo Titans were dope. Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea. That came with the Bungie 30th anniversary a couple years back. Oh, I didn't even realize it was a couple years old. I thought it was earlier this year that I had seen them. I own them all. Nice, dude. I think the gold one was an elite. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually it came from 4 Hunter. There we go. 4 Hunter. Yeah, because with the shoulder cannon. As a warlock, I'd have ran the compiler for sure. Absolutely. Not only tension around extraction shooter, tension around the heavy investment in dedicated servers, moving teams inside the company despite the D2 PvP situation being a frequently discussed point. Yeah, absolutely. That's something I talked with Sneaky about as well. He's put in a bunch of time into Destiny, and kind of one of these recurring themes that people are displeased with the Destiny 2 PvP stuff, and I don't blame people. I feel like it's fair if you're a Destiny player, which obviously has a large base, if you see Bungie now moving on to this PvP exclusive product, while they themselves obviously probably feel a little bit let down by kind of the state of PvP in Destiny. So I understand some people are going to be upset about that, but hopefully they can look at what they did there and what the community responded well to, and what the community didn't, enjoy as much, and make some changes on that. It's the security guard, Hunter, and Fit compiler. Marathon's art direction definitely feels more mature and less fantastical to me. Yeah, that's very true. Bungie is reviving the unused fungi zombies from Marathon 2 by Sigmar. How horrifying. Marathon 2 had concept art for said fungi zombies. Ooh, I don't know if I've seen that. Maybe I've come across it and just not realized that was what it was. They're supposed to be the result of Forgotten's Fit bioweapon in one of the levels. Yeah, I remember them talking about this Fit bioweapon that was in the bottom of the towers on Lahuan that they kind of released as the last kind of line of defense while the clan elders all descended into the deep relics that they had, or deep towers they had. Marathon trailer open with a shot of mushroom fungi looking stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely could be a bigger part of it. On the level where you only fight mechanical enemies in the Flicta. Yeah, the only ones they could send in. All right, but yeah, all this art is great. If you guys are looking for wall screen background or some inspiration, some cool shit, if you haven't checked out the Marathon press kit with all the screenshots and stuff, also Marathon story page has like a collection of some other cool bits here. All right, so the flood, yeah. Okay, let's read a few more of these. I'm glad they're charging something up front. Hopefully it goes. Oh, I just had a ding. I think that means someone subscribed. I don't know. I've never heard the ding while I was live streaming before, but thank you. I didn't see it. Nothing came up on my screen for me. If something came up for you guys, you can let me know. I'm glad they're charging something up front. Hopefully it goes the Helldivers route and has plenty of progression and customization. Yeah, I've talked about this on other streams too. I really love the Helldivers, how like the CEO of the company was tweeting out the propaganda to say that the flying bugs or whatever weren't real. That was very funny. And I would love to see follow-up like stuff like that from the narrative team at Bungie. Obviously they had a bunch of Twitter accounts and stuff when they were doing the ARG, so absolutely. Jake, would you be against the idea of gameplay-oriented microtransactions for a game like Bungie? I feel like I've played too many free-to-play games to get excited about cosmetics anymore. Just like reaction, like instant reaction, I would say like, yeah, it's a PvP game, so I don't really want anything that's going to affect the gameplay. But I feel like it's such a case-by-case basis, kind of. I mean, I think like... I wouldn't want anything that's going to make it so that if I'm a player who purchases, I pay $40 for the game, right? If I'm the guy who like, I work, I have kids, I have a full life, maybe I don't have the time to do these certain things. I want to feel like regardless of how much money the person across from me spent, the thing that's getting me killed is the fact that I'm not as skilled as them. If I'm ever in a situation in a game where I'm playing multiplayer and I'm shooting someone and I lose and I die, and I feel like the reason why I got killed isn't that I'm trash, you know, that feels bad. That feels bad no matter what. So I think any monetary investment someone makes in a game, maybe it can. I don't know. Well, I guess Tarkov even, they have stuff where it's like, right, you pay and maybe you have like larger storage area, which I guess maybe that wouldn't necessarily make the moment to moment combat as difficult, you know, but also they would be able to load in with a better weapon more times than me. I don't know. It's a good question. I think it's such a case by case basis that I would have to know the mechanics of the game. I'd have to know how they're going to implement whatever it is that they're selling. And I would have to, you know, see how it impacts those things. Instantly, I would say that if you're paying for something that's going to change the actual game for you, I feel like that's probably not cool. But I guess I would really have to like kind of see the exact situation. High-end Destiny PvP player. I'm very excited for Marathon, but sadly they've neglected D2. Man, dude, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. That's what I'm saying. Is like I'm excited about Marathon, and I'm sorry that it's pulling away probably some love that you know, your jam could have been getting. But hopefully Marathon's good and it all, you know, works out for us. Tom Resnick, Jake, I have a link if you're cool with it. Refungal Zombies. Yeah, if you want to send me a link on something, you can link it in chat. I don't know where you can send links, so let me know. Give me more detail. You can email it to me. Maybe I can pull it up on my email. I have a separate tab open that isn't on stream if you want to do that. It would be mighty of them to release a hardcore punk mixtape for new Mida to reinforce the cyberpunk theme on them. Bungie's narrative team never disappoints when they've invested and have time at their disposal. Marathon might not be a lore dumping, but we're going to be seeing a lot of scavenge hunting for lore tidbits. Yeah, absolutely. Pay to win would be a big coffin nail, at least for me. Yeah, absolutely. That I guess that's what I'm saying, Tretta. Yeah. Dude, a hardcore punk mixtape, guys. One of the first big ideas I had way earlier on, and when I was making the videos on the channel, even before I did the ARG stuff, is I thought it'd be so cool to do. I forget what I called it. I wrote like a script out and everything for it, and a few things, but do like Tau Ceti radio, and just do like a, you know, I'm in orbit of the colony on Tau Ceti hosting a radio station, and I wrote a bunch of songs. Like I wrote the lyrics for a bunch of songs about the Marathon universe, and it was just hard to kind of put together. And I put some of them through like an AI song generator, but I just feel weird about AI. Like I've used like AI voices to read out the tracks as chat logs and stuff. But I just felt like for art kind of stuff, I'd want to get someone involved. But dude, maybe I'll just play it just so you guys can hear it maybe later. I think I played it on stream once or twice before, but yeah, I definitely think that there's like so much cool shit that you could write like songs about that would be so sweet in the Marathon universe. The story about the Mizraya 3, which are 3 kind of maybe Mida sympathetic individuals, but terrorists on Mars, and they're at a food distribution center, and they fire on the UESC who are giving out food, and the UESC kill an entire crowd of people. And so instead of basically, you know, they killed a bunch of people unnecessarily, you know, it's kind of one of these horrific things that occurred, but they kind of blame it on, oh well, there were people in the crowd who were you know, shooting at us, but it was only 3 people. And so it's obviously kind of this unjustified use of force. But a punk song, you know, written hundreds of years after that about that, I did have AI do a version of it, and the lyrics are really good. So maybe I'll play that later. Would be down to dick around on some Tau Ceti radio tricks. Yeah, you know what I called it? You know what I call it, guys? Runner radio. That's what I called it. Pay to win would be, to be fair, Cycle included upgrade inventory size mods, and they made almost no difference on combat because the time it took to swap to a weapon and inventory is balanced. See, that's like something like that could work. Yeah, Shredda, if you're interested, if you would like to, I could send you some of the stuff if you want to dink around with it, because I do think it would be fun. I don't like pay to win either, but what about pay to be more interesting? I feel like Star Citizen makes microtransactions a more compelling game experience. Is Star Citizen the like crowdfunded game that's been going on for a very, very long time. I had a friend, I believe, who's really into that. Is this where like you can buy like ships potentially and stuff like that? Be 100% more punk than 2770's actual radio. Yeah, remember the music director of CD Projekt Red being against having metal and punk? Really? And the rest of the team had to beg for a black metal radio. Dude, that is so funny. Ms. Riot was a false flag. Yeah, everyone at Ms. Riot, those were crisis actors. Those were not actual. Yeah, let's run the Alex Jones style radio station of the Marathon universe. What did we just do? We just backed up. Yeah. But no, maybe at the end of the stream, maybe I'll play that one just so you guys get an idea, because I feel like the lyrics are so good. All right. Trailer in production means the trailer is probably actually done, and I bet it'll be released before the end of the year to tide us over to launch. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Listen, guys, you know I'm over here huffing my hopium gas. I absolutely... I just got the marathon noise. Oh my god, somebody left a super chat. Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Was my first super chat ever, Tom. I really appreciate that. That is super cool. Oh, you're trying to send me a link? Oh, dude, I'm sorry you had to do it that way. Hold on one second. Reddit link, see if that works. Comments. Okay, yeah, here, let me try this. I'm just going to pull it up in a different window just to make sure. Ooh. Wow, Tom, thank you so much, dude. Need to play test this game. Jeez, yeah, absolutely. How do we get invited to one of these play tests? That did not hold on. Let me try doing this. Is it on the post that I'm looking at? Let me try this. Let's see if I can get it going here. Let me see if this... Oh, okay, I got it. Tom, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that. That's really nice of you, man. Okay. Ooh, hope Marathon 2020X brings back the cut fungal zombies. It would be interesting to have enemies and possibly dead runners respawn in a zombified form. Oh, dude, I don't know if I've seen this. Is this in the art book? I need to oh, dude. This is fucking rad. Oh, look, this is like the tick. Oh, that's cool. And it explodes. And a fungal zombie's fit. Look at the 4, though, dude. And, okay, guys, hey, here's another thing. Dude, thank you so much for sending this, Tom. This is really cool. The other interesting thing about this is this by Robert McLeese. Robert McLeese is working with John Goff. That's one of the things that we learned from the Marathon story page and John Goff's Instagram post from earlier this year on the anniversary of the ARG. He is working on the current marathon from a narrative perspective, or at least that's the last piece of information we got it. So, and he was behind a lot of the art from I believe Marathon 1, but definitely Marathon 2. I don't remember exactly. But if he's back, yeah, we absolutely could see these things. And I feel like Tom was kind of talking about earlier, the fact that that initial image that we're getting is this, green, alien spored mushroom in the trailer. I feel like that does have a level of significance. Yeah, maybe this is something the Sfit deployed once they knew the 4 were falling apart because of whatever the fuck Durandal was doing. Maybe it's something that was already on Tau Ceti. Maybe the spores of the fungus itself are a technology from the Yarrow, this ancient advanced alien race. And who knows how that ties into the larger fungal network of the universe. This is really cool, dude. I don't know if I've ever seen this. Yeah, that would be sick if they brought back this idea. And obviously a ton of inspiration for the Flood going on here, especially with these kind of like hunchbacks and the exploding aspect of it. I wouldn't mind being able to like buy blueprints to make weapons. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It so depends. Like that could kind of work. UESC state-sponsored news network terminals just as a little treat. Shout out to Tom. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. There's probably 2 times they might release a trailer. Either Upcoming Sony Showcase, which that's what I'm hoping, or the Game Awards. That's a good point, Albert. That's assuming the game comes out before summer of next year. I'm not shitting you. The music director for 2077 was going on about not having metal. Dude, that's fucking crazy. He also went to say Dark Synth and Synthwave did not fit 2077. Dude, just like getting onto a motorcycle in Cyberpunk in the rain and just driving through the city is such a fucking vibe. It's so rad. That's news to me, but PT is a big hip-hop guy, not a huge shock. Yep, fungal concept enemies cut from the game. Dude, yeah, this would be sick. And like I said, with Robert Cleese working on it, this absolutely could be something that kind of comes back and rears its head. Damn, this is super cool. And we saw some of that mold stuff in the concept art. Yeah, another good point, Bon. Another good point. Ooh, is there like a, do we have a gallery of the concept art from Marathon? Because I know we have, or new, oh my gosh, because I know we like see like this stuff, right? I don't know if has anybody compiled like the new one. Obviously the original art by Craig Mullins, dude, such a classic. Dude, at some point I get enough subscribers, maybe I just get this as a back piece, get a huge back piece tattoo, the security officer, Craig Mullins style. Hashtag Flood Tell City. Dude, it would be a crazy spin on the PvPvE formula. Free for all scavenging hunt with monsters hunting the players. Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, Tom, that's such a good point, because even just bringing back the original, you know, aliens that we encounter, you know, whatever 4 and who the 4 have enslaved, and obviously is fit, is one thing, but to get corrupted versions of them, what if that's the difference? What if you fight like uncorrupted either on the Marathon or at the colony, and then at one of those locations you fight these corrupted infected 4, and maybe you're trying to hunt down and find out what's wrong with them, or maybe the first 4 you encounter are all fucked up and corrupted, and because the UESC doesn't have intel, they just think, oh, this is how these aliens are, and they actually, you know, go and look and discover that, oh no, this was a virus that was released by something. Or maybe it's Yarrow Tech that was like discovered by one of these AI who've just been, you know, pouting around for years. Got to pay more attention to the story site. That's huge. Yeah, absolutely, dude. The Marathon story page, the subreddit, like, there's so much good stuff. It's so much deep lore to these games. Scav runs are just going in as infected. That could be neat. Yeah, that'd be fucking funny. God, I hope he's not part of Orion's production, or at least they don't let him pick the tunes for the radio again. Had to mod out the reggaeton radio and add some mod radios from Nexus. They already got the formula for a good Cyberpunk game. Might be adding more into what's already good in Orion. Is this the new project that... oh my god, why did I just draw a blank on their name? Whatever, you know, the people who did The Witcher. Why am I'm losing my mind here. Is that their new project? Oh, CD Projekt, yeah. That certainly will be. I'm from Latam. I have every right to hate the reggaeton radio. Jake, imagine if your runner got infected with the fungi virus. Dude, I embrace the fungi virus. That's just called evolution. I think the mushrooms got it right, brother. I'll get all weird looking, but I'll be enlightened, you know. All right, class base is good. Still sad about the lack of a single player in co-op campaign. And, you know, that's kind of like what JCDC was talking about earlier. I get it. Narrative's so good from the original. People are going to miss it, but I think this oh, you know what? I bet this is going to be the sentiment. Like we were saying, that's what we want the takeaway to be. Is it's not hero shooters. I hope class base is good is the sentiment that they come up with. Play the 3 original Marathon for free. Very true. Very true. Oh, and this is, yeah, the third Apotheosis X, really fucking good. Of course, some people may take the connection to Concord, but giving it a pay-to-play aspect will hopefully mitigate cheaters. Destiny 2, when Trials was free-to-play, cheaters were carrying people every other game. And when they eventually were banned, they would just make a new account and keep doing the same thing. It's only when they tied Trials access to having the latest expansion that those rampant cheaters dropped. Although we still have some from time to time. Having Marathon be free-to-play would have brought the cheaters and drove to the game, significantly killing any instant joy a new player would have had playing this game and possibly turning away for good. Yeah, absolutely. I think this kind of summarizes our overall take as a group here. But yeah, that makes sense. And I didn't realize, obviously, that they kind of had this same experience with Destiny 2 when Trials specifically was free to play. Imagine losing a clone to the fungi and your screen changes to corrupted state. New objective, kill, consume, assimilate. See, I'm just picturing... I played this game on stream last week. I played Shroom and Gloom, which is like a deck building roguelike, but it's all about going through a cave and fighting mushrooms. And these cute little mushy boys putting their arms up were killing me every time. I feel like I'd be a kind mushroom. We'll have to see if the content matches it. People shit on free to play, but it's difficult to sell them on a shooter like this otherwise. Initial buy-in needs to be promising, and the game needs to generate enough interest to fill potential buyers with the confidence they won't be investing in a flash in the pan. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Less than Marathon 9.4. Going the Hunt Showdown route is an interesting choice. Paid game, probably microtransactions for skins and whatnot. I love Hunt, but I started playing before most of the microtransaction stuff has been added. Basically just DLCs at that point, a small handful of other premium currency skins. I don't have a problem with any of the microtransaction stuff I've seen in Hunt, honestly. All that stuff seems like pretty fair. Like, you can buy cool skins and you're able to get those, but... $40 paid multiplayer game for Sodi, because it definitely worked out well last time. Another Concord. Concord reference. Alright. I think we've gotten the general taste here. How many times do we have to teach you a lesson? Is this a dangerous link? Here, let me do this. I'll open a new window. Oh no, it's just the meme. What sources? Another bullshit leak that's meant to drive up website views post discussion. What I will say is that all this stuff aligns with Oops Leaks. And Oops Leaks, like we talked about earlier, did say might be a controlled kind of leak situation. So, I don't know. I'm definitely believing more and more this stuff that comes out because it seems very consistent, you know. It seems consistent with what people who are knowledgeable are speculating, and also with what we've heard are leaks, and also with what, you know, is being reported by other people. So that'll become more. All right, I think we got everything for this. I think last thing I want to look at is just see if there were any comments in the video I posted today about it, because I feel like there are a few people talking about it in there. Just to see. As owned by Sony, what Helldivers is. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that specifically. Massively expensive game, financially struggling developer needs to be a hit. Thank God for Tassie. Yeah, that's funny. Definitely a simple way for Marathon to be a hit. It needs to walk the line between being casual, friendly, and hardcore. Easiest way would to be just have two modes. Default, you only risk losing what you've looted during the match, much like the Division Dark Zone. Higher tier loot has a lower chance of dropping. Hardcore, you risk losing loot and all of your equipped gear and items, but higher tier loot. Yeah, I think he's describing like the scav thing, right, from Tarkov. For you guys who are familiar with that. What if you stack rampancy with fungi infection? Guys, fungus is the cure to rampancy, I promise you. Mind expansion, you need an expansion, you know, storage data, meta stability. I believe that is it. Meanwhile, I'm seeing that Warframe is free to play, consistent and doing fine, needs to be a hit, I guess, but maybe the expectation game is what kills games. Yeah, good point. True Pac-Man? Oh, you look here and here, you too. So I don't want to hand wave and be entirely dismissive of his opinions, but he generally seems to reflect mainstream opinions. Talking about Paul Tassi here. I don't think I've ever watched any content that didn't just seem to be parodying what the consensus opinion on Twitter is. Seems to be like an okay guy. Seems like an okay guy, but he is the gaming journal version of breaking news. Water remains wet. Got it. Yeah, I'm not super well versed in him, but I just knew that he was like, seems like he was like a big Destiny guy and kind of became a writer, you know, for these companies on the back of that. All right. Well, cool beans. Cool beans. Let's go through here these comments. Hyping myself for this game. They have so many concepts to explore and good recipe to build good games. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of in the same boat. I'm really hoping some of the environment, community puzzles, and Destiny become a bigger part of Marathon. Yeah, and they've been, you know, honing their ability to have these kind of like group puzzles and story elements. I feel like that is building for them to make this a premium experience that we haven't really seen in an extraction shooter yet. So, absolutely, Albert. More hype for the world building than anything else. Yep. Give me the terminals. Let me read them. Let me read this game. If I get sweat kept out of this game, I'm going to be big bummed. Yep, absolutely. But I think they're aware of that, Shredda. I think absolutely they understand they're trying to pull in a larger market of people to a niche genre. Ramsey and Marathon is less about having memory states and more about an AI having an existential crisis hits the 4 stages. Yeah, I think I was just more so referring to the proposed, what is, I think that's what Strauss says, or what we hear about in the whatever terminal about Ramsey, the proposed solution to rampancy is by having a large enough net. They need like a planet-sized net to achieve metastability, but obviously that's kind of unrealistic. Oh no, this is the part where I see the Rapal Tassi again. Sorry, y'all hate that guy. Is he hated? He seems cookie cutter, but I didn't realize he was disliked. Alright guys, thank you so much for coming out to stream. We had so many people here. Hey Jake, I'm new in the channel. Read this. I like the content you make. Keep it going. Thank you so much, Cosmic. I appreciate that. What's funny is I don't think I'll actually play the new game. I'm just an old school System 7 Mac player thrilled to see the IP return. Hey, I respect that, Tom. Absolutely. Honestly, even if it's not about playing it, just like seeing where they build out the narrative, you know? Just seeing what they do with all the cool stuff. And how they connected the kind of holes in some of the historical stuff we got from the original games, especially when you go back and you look at kind of like how Bungie released the Lost Network packets to kind of fill in some of the gaps and I guess like fix some discrepancies with some of the timeline stuff, to see how that timeline really lines up with the information they're putting in the ARG. It's like, oh, we're positioning Sekaguchi in a place around the time when the Battleroids are being used in this war with the asteroid Republic of Thermopylae and stuff. And then to see like, oh, hey, and also Traxxas is building the replacement to the Christ Soul Orbiters. And that's happening at some point around all the conflict on Mars and during the production of the Marathon. And oh, hey, Traxxas is developed, you know, and look, they're spending the 2300s. You're recovering from a huge PR disaster that was the crash of Traxxas 4 probably, but it's hinted at. So how they really kind of like are fitting this stuff into the old narrative is excellent. And yeah, like you said, even if it's, you know, the game's not up your alley, I'm absolutely excited to see what they do with the world and where they go with that, especially with, you know, a larger team. Give me terminals of Durandal being a shitter to everyone aboard the ship. Yeah, if we get some like classic now, you know, if the Marathon, you know, the colony ship is one of the maps, if we get like some old writings from Durandal in there, we get to go through and read. I would be excited to see what kind of fucked up, sarcastic things he's been saying to everybody. But, yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming out. And, Tom, thank you so much for linking me that fungal thing. I really appreciate it, dude. This has been a really fun stream, guys. I'm glad that we're getting more news. And hopefully, coming up here in September, we're going to see some more information. I think I'm going to do a stream later this week as well, just playing some games, hanging out. I'm working on a pretty big project behind the scenes with a few of the people who are in this chat might be actually even assisting me. So, but I'll let you guys know when that's coming together as soon as I have more for you. I should have another video out later this week as well, just kind of like covering some lore stuff that I want to talk about more in depth. Musing, rambling, yapping like I do. But yeah, guys, thanks for coming out. I had a really good time. Just check one more time, make sure I'm missing comments. Where can I find Mida's zine? It gave me memories of local punk and metal zines in my local music store. The Marathon story page will probably have like the best breakdown of it for you. So you come over here to the left side, click here, Mida, and then this explains like how the ARG all played out. But if you just want to read through the pages, they have them all here, and you can open up the larger images and look at them. And for the ones that were animated, they have the videos of them as well. But you can go through and look at all of them here. Also, if you go to my channel and you look at my videos, if you go to my complete analysis of the Marathon ARG, I have all of the sources linked here that I use to make the videos. So the Marathon, the Google Doc that was put together for the ARG, and the Carnamir's Lore Archive and the Marathon story page all have access to, or versions of that you can access. Thanks, Jake. I super appreciate you engaging with everyone like you do. You're like Vadi Vidya for new Marathon. Dude, I love that. That is such a huge compliment. Vadi Vidya, Matthew Matosis, Joseph Anderson. Those are like my, I'm sitting down to eat lunch or dinner. I'm watching those guys. So I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thanks for streaming your work. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good